If you're looking for a novel with a unique setting, diverse characters, and something you can always be reading, then you got to check out Lord of Mysteries. Hello guys, welcome to WebNovel channel. I'm in. I can't tell you how many late nights I've had basting through another 100 chapters, my eyes glued to the page. It seriously is addictive. I will release a series of videos to explain Lord of Mysteries to you. Please be sure to subscribe to WebNovel channel.
Story begins with our main dude, Zhou Mingrui, who used to just be a regular office worker in China. One night, while sleeping like a baby, he suddenly got the worst headache of his life. When he opened his eyes, he was shocked to find the room was decked out in some old-timey Western style, completely unlike his own pad. Checking out the fresh new mug in the mirror, he slowly let his jaw drop as he realized he had crossed over to another world. Going off some faded memories from the original host, his name was Klein Moretti, a history graduate who just got his diploma. Both his folks kicked the bucket, and now he lived in an apartment with his bro Benson and sis Melissa. What really blew his mind was that the original host had clearly offed himself with a revolver, and he could even see the grayish wounds in the mirror. Yet now, not only did he survive, but his wounds were slowly healing.
After pondering for a good long while, Zhou Mingrui could only chalk it up to a miracle. He crossed his fingers and began to recall the reason for the time travel. Recently, he had been in bad luck. In order to change his luck, he dug out the summary of Qin and Han's secret alchemy that he bought from an old book stall in his hometown and held a transfer ceremony at home according to the record, hoping that this ceremony would give him a better life. Nothing happened at that time. He never imagined that he would be transported to another world in the middle of the night because of the ritual. Considering the clear cause, the next morning he headed out to grab supplies for the luck-changing ritual, hoping to get back to Earth that way. In the process, he came to understand this world on an even deeper level.
This world was like Victorian England, but religions were way more complex. The 7 main deities worshipped on just the North continent alone gave him an idea.
On Narcissus Street, he was stopped by a fortune teller and asked him if he wanted to do a tarot reading. Looking at the tarot cards from the Earth, he suddenly remembered the life of an important figure. Russell Gustav joined the Church of the Craftsman more than 200 years ago, invented the steam engine, improved the sailboat, and single-handedly started the Industrial Revolution. He conquered many powerful countries and claimed to be Kaiser. Thinking over this history had Zhou Mingrui frowning a bit, feeling Rosendale the Great was probably a previous dimension hopper. With the idea of giving it a try, he nodded to the fortune teller and drew a Fool card from it. This card was the Zero card, which contained all possible beginnings. It could also be said to be a beginning or end of everything. He was about to explain. At that time, there was a roar from outside the door, scolding the fortune teller in the house for pretending to be an animal trainer. Zhou Mingrui had no choice but to not continue to participate in this farce and returned home to hold a transfer ceremony.
He walked 4 steps counterclockwise from the center of the room, and the sound of crazy low rain suddenly sounded in his ears. When he opened his eyes, he found that he had not returned to Earth, but had come to a mysterious space filled with gray mist. There are countless crimson stars scattered all around here. Zhou Mingrui touched them casually, but 2 strangers also entered the gray mist space. One was named Audrey Hall, the daughter of an earl with a prominent status, and the other was a ghost ship, Captain Alger Wilson, affiliated with the Church of Storms. The 3 of them were surrounded by gray fog and couldn't see each other too clear, but Zhou Mingrui definitely felt the other 2 was full of shock and fear, and figured they didn't know what was going down. So he decided to keep up a mysterious image and actively guide things to get more intel. As his thoughts moved, temples popped up around him. To really sell being a god, a long bronze table appeared in the center. Zhou Mingrui sat at the top, and the other 2 sat on both sides. All mysterious and weird, Audrey bowed real low. "Your Excellency, what should we call you?"
Thinking on the tarot reading from earlier, Zhou Mingrui spoke real slow. After a few exchanges with the Fool, Audrey realized he didn't mean no harm. Audrey relaxed herself up. She'd been real curious about mysticism and extraordinary folks for a long time, so she asked about the diets. Alger didn't want to trouble the Fool with basic questions, so he stepped up to answer and sold the sequence wine formula.
Alger saw these gatherings weren't just for exchanging info and resources, but building connections with God the Fool, so he bowed real deep and asked to hold them regular. Zhou Mingrui also wanted to learn more about the occult and find more clues to Earth, so he agreed on Mondays at 3. For calling names, they also took cards from the main deck. Since then, Audrey was Miss Justice at Tarot Club, while Alger was Mr. Hanged Man.
After wrapping up, Zhou Mingrui cut the meat off and linked with the Crimson Star. Audrey reappeared in Beckland capital, while Alger went back to his ghost ship. At the same time, Zhou Mingrui sat on his bed, feeling down, thinking hard. He finally accepted he couldn't get to Earth soon, sitting there mumbling, "From now on, I'm Klein." Getting to Earth was the long game, but figuring out the host Klein's suicide was priority one, because he always felt that Wash, fishy, and disaster might strike if he didn't solve it. Maybe from coming back, his memory was blurred, so he had to look through the diary from when the host was alive to find clues. As he read deeper, he realized Klein's suicide might be tied to the Antigone's notes, since the diary always mentioned new finds about them. The day before the host died, there was just one line: "Everyone will die, including me." Klein planned to dig deeper with his classmate Welch, who worked on the notes too. But before he left the house, the cops came saying Welch offed himself.
The three police officers planned to ask for more information, but unexpectedly, Klein lost this part of his memory and could only temporarily return to the police. Dunn actually belongs to the church of the night goddess called Nighthawk.
At night, Dunn came again and used extraordinary power to enter Klein's dream to see if he had hidden anything during the day. Perhaps due to the influence of time travel, Klein can remain awake in his dreams. He told the whole story about his amnesia and said nothing about time travel and gray fog space, confirming that his amnesia was true. Considering that professionals are in urgent need of historical talents, Dunn extended an invitation to Klein and asked him if he would be willing to join the Nighthawk. Considering the various benefits of joining, including access to more occult knowledge, Klein agreed. After signing the contract, Klein officially became a member of the Tinge professional team. Dunn briefly introduced bounders and sealed artifacts to him. Thinking of this, he paused and said that the former Archbishop had absconded due to Zangwill's evil sealed Artifact 008 and had not been caught yet. Then he pulled out a photo and told Klein to write it down, report back if he found anything. Klein quietly looked at the black and white photo, thinking about the sealed Artifact 008 in the shape of a writing brush. At this time, he would never have thought that the relationship between himself and Zangwill would be extremely close in the future, nor would he have expected that all the things 008 wrote on paper would come true and his life would be greatly affected. After roughly talking about common sense, Dunn arranged for Klein to read literature in the form of classics to further learn about occult knowledge. Among them, Klein saw 3 yellowed papers and was stunned because he was actually writing in Chinese. They were left behind by the predecessor of the time traveler, Emperor Roselle. Because the diary is written in Chinese characters, no one can understand it yet. Klein was extremely excited. This was like waste paper to others, but it was priceless to him. He read it carefully and learned that Roselle regretted not choosing the way of a fortune teller, and he also initially learned the divination method. Unfortunately, diaries are not taken seriously because no one understands them. There are only 3 pages in the classics room, and Klein, who has learned a lot, is determined to find ways to collect as many of this diary as possible in the future.
A few days later, Klein noticed that someone was following him. It seemed that he was being targeted. He walked around but couldn't get rid of the follower. Seeing the follower getting closer, what should Klein do? How will Klein find a way to return to Earth? I will continue to explain it to you in the next video.